Okay, Anastasia, thank you very much for the introduction. So I'm Oleg Boguslavsky. I'm CTO and co-owner of Data Science UA, and I really appreciate all people who joined us today because this is charity event, which to support people in Ukraine, as Anastasia mentioned. So I mean, I really appreciate that, and you are all great that you made your donations at Colo and that you joined this webinar. We actually make quite many different technical and non-technical webinars, and most of them are 100% charity or 70% charity. This is very important to support our country in the tough times, and we are all becoming stronger with this support. And now I would like to introduce actually the main. I will be just the moderator of today's webinar, and I would like to introduce our today's speaker, and my very good friend, Eugene Viborov. He's CEO and co-founder of Ability AI. He has a very great story with the successful exits in the past, and very recently they closed this seed round with the new product. So I think that this is the great track of record as for the serial entrepreneurs. I mean, the great track record of successful product launches, exits, and I'm pretty sure that the details which you learn about the new endeavor, Eugene started probably a year ago or so with Ability AI. It's just amazing. So I'll pass the word to Eugene to make the more detailed intro about himself and the new project, and then we'll start our discussion. And we really hope that we'll be able to extract some insights, some receipts of the success of how we can actually use AI not as the buzzword, not as the hype, but as the real game changer which solves particular business problems. So I'm passing my word to Eugene.
Thank you very much, Oleg. It's great to be here. It's great to have all of you with us today. And just as a form of an introduction, so as Oleg mentioned, I'm an entrepreneur. I built businesses. I think I built businesses my entire life. I really probably only had two passions in life. One is building businesses, and another one is artificial intelligence. And it kind of combines together now in my new company that I'm building. But before that, I built two. The first one was the services company based in Dnipro. That's where I'm from. That's where I grew up. Also as a business person. And then the last project was a company called YaiPay, which is a B2B software as a service offering for accounts receivable automation. That became a very interesting story. We sold it to a public company in 2020. I was working for the company that acquired us for 3 years. And that was also a separate part of the journey. And yeah, now about a year ago, we started this new venture, Ability AI, which is all about autonomous AI agents. But we'll talk about that, I guess, during this conversation. So yeah, if there's something specific like you want me to tell the audience, let me know.
Yeah, so essentially you can ask the questions during our talk in the chat, and we'll just interrupt at the end of some topic and answer your questions. So we'll really appreciate the questions. So Eugene, maybe just for the start, I'll ask you about the successful exit with the YaiPay, because that was that was a big success, both in terms of money and in terms of the perspectives of the product. So my first question is that the product contains certain AI features, and maybe you can describe what particular AI features actually help to increase the value of the YaiPay offering, and what actually helped to make the exit even more successful.
That's a great question. Well, I think it would make sense, first of all, to focus on what YaiPay is and what the system is doing. So as I mentioned, it's an accounts receivable automation software. So what it does, it helps you or your company collect on the invoices from your customers. So if somebody is not paying you or is delayed on paying you, or even not delayed, but you want to remind them, you use YayPay as a software that helps you do that. And AI wasn't the core of the system. The core of the system was a classical software as a service offering. However, through the use of different AI features that we built in, we got to the point of being recognized as a leader in AI for our class of products on the market by IDC, which is a pretty big deal, and was back then and is now. But really, my view on AI features, I gotta say, like, and you know that better than I do because you work with that every day. It's a huge buzzword, and people are often coming for the buzzword, not exactly understanding what this is going to do. I also saw entrepreneurs building in AI features into their product just because these are AI features and because after that they can put it in the deck. My honest opinion is that that's a big mistake to do that, that AI should be considered by the product teams of the different various products only as a feature and measured by the output, basically by the value it can provide to the user and nothing else. The buzzword itself doesn't really matter how certain thing is achieved as long as this thing is valuable for the end user of the product. And so that was the driving force behind our decisions in YayPay of what features to build in. And a few of the notable ones that were really useful for our users is the predictions of the payment date of your invoices. And it was an interesting algorithm that relied on multiple different models and approaches on the back end, from random forests to neural nets of different kind that together gave a very good prediction in terms of whether invoice is going to be paid in time or not, and if delayed, how much this is going to be delayed, and if it's going to go to the bad debt kind of invoice. But I gotta say, I mean, it was called AI, but really it's a traditional machine learning. I mean, it's a question of definitions, of course, but it was more or less standard traditional machine learning with the use of neural nets as well, but still. Another feature that was interesting and useful was email categorization, depending on the type of the business email that comes in, and suggestion of the responses for those emails based on the context from the business systems of the user, of a customer, so like where invoices sit, etc. One more thing was actually quite interesting. It was the matching of the invoices and money that had been received through it has multiple components. It's an image recognition of the receipts, an actual matching of the information between two different or multi records and multi records on the other side. Also very interesting approach over there that worked at the end of the day. And last out of the interesting ones that I wanted to say is there is basically the YayPay as an application is about sending timely notifications to your customer when you need to pay invoices and how, and giving them a portal to do that, and recommendations around the sequence of those emails that have the highest chances of getting you the payment was one of the valuable things that we have built in. So something like that.
Yeah, I would say that for the finance departments, I'm pretty sure that this feature was absolutely crucial and useful. And I would like to remind once again that the company exit was back in 2020, while AI features were ready even earlier. So now we all know that there are a lot of helpers to write emails, to categorize, to respond, and all CRM systems, they all have these features. But remember, guys, this was a couple of years ago when the NLP was at a very different level comparing with what we have right now. We have a question from one of our participants, and the question is like, do you use the recent academic knowledge on AI implementation adoption? And so I think that in general the question is, how do you use your academic knowledge on the AI, whether it's really useful?
And if you're talking about my own, you
yeah
mean?
yeah
Look, I graduated from the university back in 2007, and I graduated from computer science. It was computer science degree, and actually my thesis was around filtering spam with the use of different kind of methods, including artificial intelligence back then. Uh, but to be quite honest, after the first few years when I worked and developed my skills as a software engineer specifically, after that I switched to business positions or management positions. And at that point in time, I needed to know how those systems work from a little bit of a higher level. For example, like what classes of machine learning tools exist, what kind of problems they can solve, how can I apply it in the context of the company, etc., rather than remembering the details, mathematic details that I learned back in the university. However, just to keep myself well, I don't know, fresh at least. I don't know. I'm trying to keep my mind fresh. I'm trying to practice with building some of those models myself with Python and, in Python notebooks or in PyCharm, just to, keep the practice going and sometimes build some interesting tools for myself.
Yeah, I actually read the question, and I think the second part of the question was whether you use the recent academic publications
Ah,
on AI
that's
stuff and stuff
interesting.
like that. I mean, to me the
That's
answer
another
is quite
amazing
obvious,
question.
but but I let Eugene to answer this part as well.
Yeah, of course, we look at that, and we look at that regularly. The challenge here is that we're sort of in the middle of the hype path, meaning that there is a lot being uncovered and discovered, and some of the roadblocks, the blocks that this whole AI ecosystem has at the moment, are gradually being removed, and businesses like mine need to be ready for the time when it's removed, so it didn't, kill your company and kill your business and kill your use case. Anyway, that means that we have to stay on top of what's going on the market, on the research market as well. To handle that in our company, what we've done is we've devoted um, a separate person, a very sophisticated NLP engineer, whose job is to actually track the research and do the research himself based on the most recent stuff that is happening on this market. And basically, the result of his work is something that we can then later use in the actual product, if we find that useful. But at least this allows us to keep an eye on what is happening in the academic world. I cannot say academic world because really, things become usable and useful when they get to the point of at least having a GitHub repository. If this is just a paper, this is fun to read. Take an iPad and before bed, just reading some of the research papers. But it gets useful only when it gets to the practice matters per se.
Well, yeah, and the great advantage of the most recent publications is that most people, if they really discover something valuable and if they want to share it with others, they definitely publish the link to their GitHub in the article itself. So that makes that allows you just to recreate everything which is done in the article very fast, and it's very useful. And
It's
also,
very true.
and I'll also tell from my past experience that in general, if we are talking about the AI development process, there are people who are more AI engineers, and there are people who are more AI researchers, and people who are more researchers, they are always like most of the cases they start their every day with checking what kind of new papers are in for their for their subject. So that's why that's why a lot of things which are published, they really help to accelerate the development of many different products and solutions.
By the way, I have a sort of a life hack, not a life hack. I'm just watching some of the YouTube folks who are reviewing those papers, and I like guys like AI Explained, or I forgot the other name. But point is, they tend to pick up the most interesting stuff and review it pretty well. So basically, like outsourcing the task of reading the whole article to somebody else.
Yeah, true. Okay, so maybe just stepping aside from your projects and your products, maybe you can share some really interesting from the technological perspective, some interesting business cases where people solved some particular business problem with the help of AI.
Well, look, honestly, so much stuff is happening in every company. There's some sort of adoption of AI, even if it's as simple as ChatGPT, or this is internal documentation tools or something else. I would kind of broadly describe the classes of problems that are being adopted pretty widely right now, and the classes of problems that are sort of in development. I mean, obviously, we can start with just a basic assistance that is ChatGPT, plain and simple. The use cases it's used for is obviously content creation, and I'm talking about not only textual content creation, but also images and videos and yeah, any other sort of content that can be generated. For example, the code generation or music generation, which is also quite fascinating. I do a little bit of music as a hobby, and what was that? Maybe half a year ago, when the first proper music generation software was coming out, it was just mind-blowing. The quality that they can output is yeah, it was quite amazing. But anyway, going back to purely business cases, everything related to content creation, if you are not using some LLM or some AI assistant at this point, you're just not doing your job right. That's basically the perception in many businesses right now. However, there are some pretty massive issues with that as well, and I guess we'll touch on that later. I would say another big use case that is used in different interpretations, in different kind of forms throughout the companies, is data interpretation. I'm talking about AI agents and LLM systems, whatever you call it, looking at the data sets or databases and finding insights from that, analyzing them in different ways, even creating some algorithms on the fly to run the analysis, to then interpret the data interpret and then present the data to the users. Basically, every use case where we had data analytics involved, where we had business intelligence involved, every use case like that is being automated with the use of this kind of data interpretation agents. Another group of use cases, and by the way, Oleg, stop me if you'd like to maybe dig into some of those. Then another group, a huge one, is a communication with people, meaning basically either it's a sales communication when you're reaching out to people through the automated communication, or marketing communications on the website, or customer support communications happening either through the phone or through email or through any other channel. I think adoption in that area is one of the fastest that we see across the entire AI landscape. Because these systems are designed to do so. They're good at communicating, and as people figure out the piece where these systems look at the internal sort of company documentation and interpret that and include that in their responses to customers, the better the systems become. I think this is one of the challenges that poses the biggest risk for the employment market, because those folks are going to be the first ones out. It feels this way, but I guess we'll see how that's going to turn out. And another very exciting, and this is an area where we are working, it's a true agency capabilities of the artificial intelligence, which means AI agents that are capable of making decisions and executing those decisions. And there's a number of obviously frameworks out there that allow creating this kind of agents, but there's no consensus at the moment in the industry in terms of which approach is best. But industry is definitely moving in this direction. And like if in previous cases, for example, when in the content creation, you're measuring the output of these systems by the quality of the content that is created, with the data interpretation, obviously you're looking how good they are at finding insights, with communication with people, how good they're in communicating, and with decision making, you're looking at the quality of the decisions under uncertainty. And this is a whole different beast that requires reasoning and planning capabilities in the LLMs, but also sophisticated prompting and data access techniques on the agent level to output, a good result. A couple of other things that I've seen successfully implemented. One very widespread one, I would say, is the data processing and enrichment, especially if we're talking about the sales process. There are, the people build projects where agents are basically enriching the data about the leads, researching certain folks, certain leads. So that's one side of the story. It's more of the enrichment for the purpose of human using that. But there's also an enrichment for the purpose of algorithms using that, which is basically, if we're talking in terms of the machine learning, classical machine learning data science, this feature engineering process, there are tools that are currently allowing you to feature engineer instead of you as a data scientist and run models based on this feature engineering. This is also quite, I think, cool use case. So within those that I listed, we can split them into multitude of different micro use cases. Like, I don't know, lawyers are using that to draft contracts, and people using these systems in different parts of the customer acquisition pipelines, and yeah, different variations of support exist. So yeah, the landscape is really, really wide already.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Eugen. While you were talking, I recalled a couple of interesting cases which we also did in Data Science UA. For example, for one of the SaaS products for sales, essentially our team together with the client's team, they are building the feature which essentially transforms the whole work of the salesperson who is in charge of talking to the client. Because what these features do is that during the meeting with the client, there is a presentation, there is a voice, there might be some chat, and all these data streams, they are analyzed by the platform, and in real time the platform provides certain guidance to salespeople, certain information, certain hacks, certain hints about the things which his client is talking about or presenting or writing, and it just totally changes the experience of this salesperson. So that's I mean, they have a lot
It's
of
fascinating,
cool,
man.
yeah, they have a lot of
Just
cool features in their product, and that's why they have a capitalization of a couple of $1 billion. So
nice.
there are many great use cases, and I think that with the age of LLMs, one of the most important and most popular requests is when people have their databases or classrooms or manuals or their like specialized guides, and they come with the request on how they can make the customized system which will actually know their particular standards or documents better and guide either their clients or workers basing particular on these standards. And that's where the RAG
It's a RAG
architecture.
implementation.
Yeah. So
Beautiful. Yeah.
it's very popular. So maybe Eugen, you can also recall something from this domain too, or some cool examples.
Yeah, look, I think RAG is actually, it's all over the place. You can barely avoid it, just because currently, not just because, but the context window of the LLMs is limited, even though it's getting bigger by day. But it's still limited and it is expensive. So people are relying on RAG systems to search and find some info that sits in the documents. There are actually I forgot the name of the companies to give an example, but there's a bunch of companies that are in this business for a long time. They basically, all they do is they connect to all your internal company systems where the documents are stored, and the larger the company, the more of these systems exist. And it instantly answers questions about that, which is quite amazing, in terms of what it can do. But really, any meaningful application in the that uses AI will have to deal with RAG at some point, I think. At least if it works with textual or imagery data, maybe not with music. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is also another reason behind that is because many clients, they are asking about the security. So they worry
Oh, yeah.
that they don't want to have their documents going out to the third-party LLMs and the stuff like that. So and that's where we can just use the LLM as like the advanced talking engine, while the features and the terms and the information itself is getting extracted from your documents without passing this information to the third party. At the same time, what is interesting is like Microsoft, they actually declare that if you are using OpenAI through their infrastructure through Azure, they essentially guarantee that you get the enterprise level security. So they essentially guarantee that your data won't be exposed outside. But for some reason, many people and many customers, that's what we see from the negotiations we have with the clients. For some reason, people still like they don't fully believe that, and they are asking on how we can just keep everything locally without exposing outside, even this way.
Well, I can tell you exactly why this is happening, and I think OpenAI is to blame for that. For one, really strange move in the very beginning when they said that they're using the data of the free users for the future teaching, of the system, and that kind of created a brand issues for generative AI. And now everybody kind of knows that if I'm using LLM, then my data is going into not really safe place. Even though you're totally right, this is not the case. I mean, every meaningful data cloud provider, be it Microsoft or Amazon or Google Cloud, they are responsible for keeping your data private and secure. As well as they're responsible for any other services that they're providing. It's the same kind of requirement.
Yeah, true. So besides security, so what kind of concerns did you hear from the business owners in terms of why not to implement AI in their business? So what are the typical concerns of the business owners? Why not to use AI?
That's a good question. I will still bring up as the first one is this data privacy issue. I've heard a lot of the folks limiting themselves to using external LLMs at the very least and relying on something internally because of the concerns with the data privacy. And I think it also comes for larger organizations, it also comes down to not just concerns around the data privacy, but certain compliance requirements. And I know that I'm not sure about now, but at least some time ago, that was a bigger issue with even the big providers. They couldn't confirm that they would. It requires providers to be at a certain level of compliance for other companies to pass it, and it wasn't happening. But other things that are important, I think, what I'm hearing all the time, especially from the bigger companies, is the copyright related issues. To be more specific, this is most often related to images and videos, but I don't know, music probably as well. But basically the idea is if there was a copyright protected information that was used during the training of the model, and in most cases there was this information, then potentially there might be issues with the law in the future. I gotta say that, I mean, it's very evident that smaller companies don't care about that at all. The chances of that going, creating real problems are fairly slim. But for larger brands, this is a meaningful issue, and they're avoiding using, say, Midjourney or any kind of stable diffusion derived models in production for their purposes because they don't want to be caught in that. And for that, actually, Adobe and probably somebody else already, but I know about Adobe. They've made a model that is fully trained on free content and sort of free images, publicly available, not copyrighted, commercially copyrighted, and that allows them to come to people and sell their models to them without these copyright issues. What OpenAI did about half a year ago to handle this problem was more on the legal front. They basically said, look, if you're our client and we are using our, I don't know, API, and somebody comes to you with a complaint about the copyright issues with your applications, we will protect your interests from the legal standpoint. So they're saying we will prove to them that the model we have is fully legal, and this is just the use of the derived information rather than the original works and that kind of stuff. But that's a long discussion. All I'm saying that copyright is still an issue on the market, and there's a lot of conversations about that. The next concern, and I mentioned before that, I mean, a lot of people are using AI for making a copy, meaning making content, text. Problem is, I don't think it's any longer true, but most of the people believe it's still true, and it is. Anyway, if you go to ChatGPT and ask it to make you an article about something, it will make it, but it will be very, very evident that this article was created by AI. It will be very clear, and everybody will understand. There are sophisticated prompting techniques that allow to avoid that allow to give LLM sort of a specific voice that is going to be very, very hard to distinguish from
or say
human.
explicitly that please don't use the word delve, for example.
Yeah, you have to explicitly tell it to not use some stuff. It really is gets to that. That's true. But the point here is there are techniques to do that, even though they're not yet, super publicly known per se. So at least when I talk to marketers, these guys are saying, "Look, we don't trust AI copy. We think it's it's buzzword sounding, and it's recognizable that this is AI." And I think this is something that will pass, but right now it's there. A couple of other things. Well, I guess it's not in terms of the adoption of the AI within the companies, because for adoption, we really named data privacy, the copyright issues, maybe things like lack of talent to get this done. This is where data science UA comes in. This is where you guys can help. But I'm telling you that a lot of the companies are struggling with they know what it is, they know it exists, they want it, but they can't find who can build it for them. Still do have these problems. But if we're talking about adopting AI in your products, for example, you have some SaaS or whatever it is, you have some business, and adopting AI functionality and AI features in your product, that has a different set of problems. I think the biggest one, at least with the AI systems that claim to do something, is the question of trust and reliability, not in the technical terms, but in terms of if you assign something to human to do, like Oleg, if I ask you to do something and you don't do that, I know who to ask, right? I know that I will come to you and ask you what happened, and I will rely that the next time you will do that right. With AI, there's no such trust. There's nobody you can ask if it made a mistake. It's just a system that went wrong, and there's a sort of I believe, maybe it's not true, but it's my just my thoughts. I believe there's this subconscious lack of trust that people have to certain AI systems.
Yeah,
Um,
I rather call that explainability. So, like, in many cases, the people are concerned that it's hard to explain the output of the AI, and also they read the articles about the ability of AI systems to hallucinate. So those things are, yeah. And also, like,
uh,
while discussing the fact that the answers of the LM models, they normally sound like they are generated by AI. One idea came to my mind. I don't know whether somebody tested that or not, but maybe somebody can try. Is that essentially, for example, like, like, we lived without AI for many years. During this, like, for example, I'm working more than 20 years in the IT. Over these 20 years, I generated a lot of documentation, a lot of emails, a lot of content related to my work. So essentially, what we can try to do, we can just try to feed the LLM with the again, using the RAG approach, feed the LLM with all artifacts which I have before, at the age before AI, and say that, okay, when you try to generate some new content, please write it in the way how that's my style, which I used for many years. Just try to follow this style, the expressions, the way how the sentences are built and stuff like that. I think that should work.
if I can add to that, this is a very interesting point you brought up. If we go into details of technical implementation and how to do that, we recently run research in our team and published it on arXiv even about capabilities of the LLM in replicating the style of a human style. And then we also looked at the factuals, but I'm talking about style. And so I think actually that RAG might not be enough for the style replication, because it will basically require you to look through the memory of thousands and thousands of documents and somehow formulate the style. Because even if you just give examples, the window is not going to be big enough to, maybe, well, I don't know, I'm just brainstorming here. What we did instead is we took, well, someone who has a lot of interviews on the web, and we turned them into the data set and the training data set, and fine-tuned the LLM with QLoRa to see if that can replicate style, and it worked perfectly. So that part was just working like a charm in terms of the style, not in terms of the facts. The facts is a different story. QLoRa is limited for this kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what essentially confirmed that this idea is definitely working. So you already tested that.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, man. Yeah.
great. Great. So now, going to your new product. So maybe you can describe a little bit, like, just to make a brief pitch about your product, and what problems do you solve with the help of AI, and what actually you can solve with the help of AI, and what you feel that we are not at the point where it can be solved. So, like, please describe what is the coolest thing about your new product, and your new cool ideas.
Yeah, so look, there's a high level explanation. We'll probably start with the high level mission driven explanation of what I'm trying to achieve with this company. And then I will go to some details of exactly how this looks like for right now and where we're going. So the high level idea is the following. The agents, which are sort of entities based on LLM that can make decisions and execute those decisions, should be able to take over most of the daily mundane marketing decisions done by marketers on a daily basis. Decisions of the style of, okay, what is the next experiment I want to set? What do I want to do with this campaign, double down or shut it down? Maybe what content I should use for this particular, or what value proposition I should use for this particular target audience. Even things like research who is my competitors and identify their weak and strong points and things like that. And fundamentally, what I want to achieve is I want to take entrepreneurs and marketers and move them to the next level of abstraction. So they didn't have to dig into all the details of the paid marketing, specifically in my case, in the case of our application, paid marketing pipeline and workflow. And it was basically run by the agents and required approval of certain important decisions from the user, from the entrepreneur or marketer. But other than that, was almost entirely autonomous. And so there is, I mean, it's evident that the technology is here for that. We've built prototypes, we've built not prototypes, that we have already working parts of the product that are quite fascinating, to be honest. But anyway, to go back to Earth, like this is sort of vision-driven stuff. The reason I'm doing that is because I believe that the future for us looks, economic future for us looks the following way. I think we're going to see a lot more entrepreneurs and small teams that are making significant impacts, building significant businesses with very small human investments, without huge teams, with the use of all of those automation tools that will exist and exist already on the market. And one of these automation tools is what we are building here. And my job, my mission is to help those entrepreneurs take all the unnecessary load on their mind related to daily marketing decisions and let them focus on product quality, on bigger picture, on creativity, on things that are truly, truly important. Now, if we talk in a very like down-to-earth terms in terms of what we're building a paid marketing automation system that covers the entire pipeline of the paid marketing, from the campaign strategy to content creation to analytics to running the campaigns and overall management of this entire process. Now, second part of your question that you asked, which is, I mean, what AI is good at, what AI is not good at, and how to understand that better. Look, my whole bet really in this company is that we can build the system of agents that can make good decisions under uncertainty and improve on them. That's pretty much what we're betting on. And I think we see that it's going in that direction. There's still some basic, some significant capabilities missing from the LLMs, but they're coming in terms of the ability of the LLMs to reason, which are currently hacked through the use of different prompting techniques. But it's getting there. It's getting there pretty quickly. So yeah, so this kind of decisions under uncertainty is what those agents should be good at: reasoning based on the information that is available to them, making a decision, executing a decision, and then learning from the feedback of this decision. However, my philosophy here is, look, there has been a large amount of tools for marketing automation, for paid marketing and automation in particular. Those tools relied on decision-making based on classical machine learning models. So they looked at the large amounts of data and they built, I don't know, classification or regression models of different kind. And based on what these models give you, they made decisions. And that covered like small subsections of the process, but still it worked and it works, and it's amazing. And my thinking about that is the following. So once we have enough of the structured data and well, certain level of certainty in decision making that we can rely on pure data to make this decision, we should be doing that in the classical way, meaning like it was classical machine learning algorithms and models, rather than trying to use agents to make those decisions. I don't think they will be really ever better than similar sized. Like, okay, if we talk about size, yes, there might be still a difference, but What I mean is like if you have enough data, enough structured data to make a decision, you should be using a classical algorithm for decision making based on traditional machine learning approaches.
Okay, thanks a lot, Eugene. And maybe you can also tell us what companies will benefit most
Mm.
from your product.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, we are looking at digital commerce companies. I call it digital commerce because, like, when I say e-commerce, usually it's understood that this e-commerce is online shops that sell some physical goods. In reality, if you're selling any kind of digital product as well, this is also e-commerce. If it's at least, especially if it's not a subscription-based product, but it's a one-time purchase or impulsive buy kind of decision, or even like things like online courses or events of different kinds. It's also obviously digital commerce products. So from our product specifically, I think the following companies will benefit. It's digital commerce companies that are turning over, say, under $25 million, because those folks that are a little bigger, they have a bit different set of issues and we're not able to solve them yet, but we will get there at some point. But not only that big companies like, up to 25 million in revenue, but also the small guys who are just starting their stuff, especially right now, because one of the main components, well, the main component that we currently have in the system is our strategist, which is the agent that works with you as a client to develop an optimal strategy for the promotion of your product, whatever the product is. And it comes up with the target audiences, with psychographic, demographic analysis, with the analysis of the competitors, with the market research on different topics, and optimal pricing strategies, and et cetera, et cetera. It's a pretty sophisticated tool already, and that tool can be very, very useful for anybody who is even thinking about selling something online and doesn't know where to start. Like if you have I don't know, you want to make an online course, or you want to sell t-shirts with your unique graphic that you're making, but you don't know where to start and what to do from the marketing perspective, that our product can be very useful for that. It can tell you exactly what needs to be done and where you need to go and what are the recommended channels and why these channels are recommended. I mean, marketing channels, etc. Yeah, so really, it's a very hard question to answer because when I play with this product and we're trying all sorts of different situations with customer, meaning like a customer selling different things, and we're giving it completely random things, like from pair of sneakers to a huge online event. And in most cases, it results in a pretty decent strategy for every case. It's pretty wide in terms of what it can do. But in terms of the company focus specifically, we are focused on this digital commerce folks from basically from 0 to 25 mil. And that's going to become our focus in the observable future.
I see. And do you also plan to do some integrations with the large marketplaces like Amazon or Etsy, because there is a huge potential there as well?
Yeah, absolutely. This stuff will go gradually. Those integrations, especially integrations with ad cabinets of these different platforms, they are not an easy thing. So we're going to be going gradually, but at some point, a good portion of those e-commerce businesses that are selling some physical goods, they're selling them through Amazon as well. And this Amazon integration is quite important for them. Yeah, I think at some point we'll get to this.
Okay. We have a couple of questions and comments in the chat. So from Dmitro Beletsky, he says that your vision for the future resonates with me. He also believes that the future is the replacement of all work roles by agents, and marketing is a function that exists in every business. It's very cool that you are working on the agents in this direction, and he wishes you a big success on that. So it's rather a comment. And from Olena, there is a question. If you can share when selling the product to the clients, what are the most significant sales objections and fears they have about using the AI agents versus some more traditional tools?
Mhm. Yeah, it's a great question. It gets me back to the to what we were talking about, the concerns of the use of AI. And the concerns that I've heard several times is, first of all, they want to make sure that they copy, meaning that the content that AI creates doesn't sound like AI. And they still have trust issues with AI systems, meaning like when you outsource decision making, certain level of decision making to AI, it's always concerning. You need to get used to that. You need to develop the understanding that actually this thing can make good decision in most of the cases. So people are afraid of AI making mistakes. Although again, this becomes easier and easier with time. People are getting more adjusted. I would even say ChatGPT and the fact that ChatGPT can make mistakes and people know it creates this habit that, hey, AI is actually good for making decisions, but it can sometimes, fail. And that's okay. So those two are the main things. But really, look, in the product that we are building right now, we are changing, we're intending to change the habitual behavior that people have in the traditional marketing approaches with paid marketing. Usually, a traditional e-commerce shop that is selling something, they have a few people in the team internally managing the day-to-day operation, and then they have a bunch of agencies that they are contracting with, and each agency is handling a particular channel like Facebook or Google or something else. And the work process is built in a way that you're catching up with your agency once a week, and they're reporting and they're building a strategy for the next week. They're executing that, and this goes sort of in cycles. And if something goes wrong, then what users do and what users expect to have from the current generation of systems is to have a huge table with numbers and 75 different charts, so they can dig into anywhere and understand and make a decision on their own. We're building a different kind of system. I want users to have to see and make decisions only on what matters at this particular point, and seeing the information in front of them to make this decision. So I'm not building a system with a lot of charts that gives you all sorts of analytics. I'm building the system with the agents that understand this information and can explain it to you or show it to you when it's needed to make a particular decision.
Yeah, true. I have kind of feeling that people will have less concerns in case if they have some more explainability and more reasoning behind the actions which are recommended by the system. So I think that people in general, they are more confident when they are when they get the response like you should do this, this, and this. But if this response will be followed by because or due to the reasons, or we feel that this should work because of, so in this case it will really give to people a very different
Confidence,
level of confidence, because again,
absolutely.
people, they can't be experts in everything, but in most cases the thing they are asking about, they have some kind of at least high level understanding and at least some kind of knowledge in the domain, and they will be able to understand the reasoning, and I don't know, by smell or by the idea, they can guess whether it really makes sense, or it's just, or we need to to tell to the system that we don't believe that this will work. Maybe you can provide more reasoning, or maybe you can provide some alternatives, so the stuff like that.
Problem, you're totally right, man. I mean, we're going in the same direction of explaining those things. Problem is, you remember those times when we didn't have generative AI and explainability was a different sort of an issue, where you had to use sophisticated methods to find out which particular features in the data set impacted the overall result. So you can then go ahead and explain it somehow to the user. Now it's almost illegally simple. But the problem
Yeah.
is that in most cases, you can look at those explanations oftentimes as hallucinations. And it's the same, really, it's really the same thing in human mind, and it works this way. You know, there's a lot of research showing that, you know, we make decisions, you know, and then we find a way to explain those decisions, and that's what comes out of our mouth. Yeah, LLMs are very similar in that regard. So they will explain stuff. It's just those explanations don't always have something to do with the reality.
True, true. And actually, there was a reason why you know, like AI stuff was not too popular till recent times in many mission critical systems, like in cars
Yeah,
autopilots or in the navigation
yeah,
systems of the planes, or in the some space missions and the stuff like that. It's also because of the explainability, because it was really like
totally.
in case of every failure they had to find the way to trace back what actually happened.
I
Yeah.
would argue it's still the same problem, uh, because nobody really knows what's happening in the guts of LLM. But because we can use this beautiful language model now, it can create a realistically sounding explanation, hallucinate a realistically sounding explanation. The reality is we have no idea what path it took within the LLM to make this particular decision.
Yeah. Okay. One more question from my side. So,
Mm-hmm.
like we were talking a little bit about the buzz and hype. So maybe you can provide some examples of the hype topics to which you will never invest your personal money.
Mm-hmm. Man, you know, you gave me the draft of this topic on the back end, and I was thinking about that, and I couldn't come up with a lot of examples in the AI world. Unlike, for example, the world of Web3, which we all
or
love,
or blockchain.
or yeah, Web3 blockchain, yeah, basically the same stuff. But point is, uh, I don't invest in something when it solves the problem that doesn't exist. It's as simple as that. If the problem that they're coming up with and trying to explain is sort of came from the air, I mean, that's what I'm not investing in. That's what is driven, you know, solely by the hype. And I'm seeing, I don't see a lot of examples of people trying to just hype it out purely. I know there are folks like this, but at least in their pitches, in what they're telling to the world, they are trying to solve a real existing problem with the use of AI technologies. Whether they're gonna do that or not, or they're just gonna take money and go to Caribbean islands or something, I don't know. But at least they're trying to solve realistic problems. Yeah, seems this way. Although I do see a lot of migration of Web3 people to AI.
Yeah, I mean, probably they see the price of Nvidia stocks versus Bitcoin prices, and
Yeah. Oh man,
and people
yeah,
are starting to realize that in many cases it's really great to go to something absolutely real
yeah.
rather than, you know.
It's
Uh,
important to say, actually, sorry, before we go further, but you just reminded me of this issue, which is a huge deal because this whole AI thing, as beautiful as it is, as many opportunities it gives, it opens up doors for a ridiculously large amount of sophisticated scam. We're already seeing this happening, and it will, well, hopefully force people to start at least thinking about their personal data privacy and security and understand how this scam approaches work. But nothing stops someone right now from completely replicating my voice and calling my mom and, you know, asking her to send money somewhere. So already, you know, things like that are happening, and this is horrible. It's just something that we will need to figure out how to live with.
Yeah, true. Truly agree with that. Okay, there is one more question which I ask many people who are inspired by AI and use it every day. So maybe you can provide some kind of practical, uh, useful or funny or some non-trivial prompts for ChatGPT which you use on the daily basis. So some kind of life hacks from the person who knows AI for for probably around 20 years or so.
Yeah. Oh man, this is a tough one because I'm using ChatGPT as a user, and I'm not especially skilled in prompt engineering, but I know some tactics that people use. But I think, look, it seems to me that prompt engineering is a lot about or a lot similar to psychology, and you almost have to talk to LLM like you're talking to and I don't know, maybe adolescents or a person, or maybe anyway, to another person, and use some psychological tricks to get information from them. But I think more people are not getting value from these systems, not because they don't use some sort of prompt engineering technique, but because they don't know what questions to ask. And yeah, there was a whole discussion in the beginning of this whole era about the fact that LLMs are going to amplify those people who understand what questions to ask. And to an extent, this is true. But my recommendation, and what if I come to ChatGPT about the topic that I don't know, I ask it what questions I should be asking. And it gives me a very specific guideline of, okay, this is what you might be interested in. Yeah, and that actually goes pretty well. I also, well, okay, there are standard things that you can be using for ChatGPT kind of approaches. There's a chain of thought. It's a most popular probably method for this kind of prompting in ChatGPT. It basically ask the LLM to give a step-by-step explanation of how it came to a certain conclusion. And that works well, just in terms of improving the results. There's also interesting emotional series of prompts. Like you can tell ChatGPT that, I don't know, your grandma asked you to find the answer to this question, and the statistics show that actually it's going to be better at giving you an answer if you give some emotional reason why you need this answer. There is an interesting method, I mean, more or less standard again method that I use daily is an expert method. I'm basically telling it, okay, you are an expert in this, this, and that. I also tend to add more narrow details about an expert. Like if I'm saying like you are an expert in fundraising, I sometimes add, okay, you live in New York, you worked in the industry for 15 years. I don't know, your name is Alex, etc. So that I feel, I don't know, but it feels to me that it puts it more into the role, and it gives me a little bit more meaningful answers, I guess. So yeah, those are some tricks, but yeah, I kind of feel that everybody knows about them, so I feel like it's useless.
Yeah, thanks, Eugen. The a kind of fresh story. Yesterday, I saw the post of the person who is a very good and experienced coach, mentor, and facilitator. Very professional. We used his services in multiple companies, and we worked with him for many years, and he helped solve a lot of organizational problems, a lot of business cases, and the stuff like very professional person. And he wrote the post regarding the fact that he kind of questioned like whether it's possible to create the AI agent which will be your good business coach. So how do you feel about that? So maybe like how do you feel? Maybe at some point there will be some agents. So will you use the if you'll see that it's really working? Will you use this?
Mhm. I feel like, so I've been through different periods in my career when I did coaching, and actually I do coaching right now as well with my former business partner who is now coach, and he's helping me as a CEO. And For me in the coaching, it's critical to have this certain human connection and responsibility towards that human. So even if the agent is going to be there that is fully replicating the behavior of a human and what the things they say and questions they ask, it wouldn't be good enough for me. I would be looking for a human being. And actually, I think it's the same in many other use cases for the artificial intelligence. Despite the fact that, yes, AI can talk to humans, humans still want to talk to humans.
Yeah, that's true. And like in other cases, like to me, for example, probably I won't listen to the music which is created by the AI. I mean, I'm interested not only the music, but also by the personality and the style and the
Exactly.
emotions
Yeah.
which are behind this music.
Yeah.
So like,
I'm with you on this. But I mean, there's going to be a balance somewhere in the middle, right? Still, I'm sure that like some percentage of the top charts, music charts, are going to be by AI at some point. Yeah, maybe not huge, but some portion. Not by AI, but by humans that use AI to create those tracks. Because that's just a new form of creativity. I mean, still creativity, just in a different level of abstraction.
yeah, sure. Yeah, and by the way, do you use some applications from the GPT store? Maybe you can, no.
No, not at all. I don't find them useful. To be honest, in most cases, this is just a system prompt, a little more sophisticated system prompt, and I would rather control my system prompt than trust somebody else to do that.
I see. Yeah, fair enough. Also, I think that, there was quite big hype around that as well. And
Yeah.
probably like literally everyone tried to create some killer feature and killer application. Especially once this feature was more widely available.
hmm
But
I don't think it's took off, right? I mean, everybody was looking at that as, it's going to be another app store. It doesn't feel like it's another app store in terms of the impact right now, but I guess we will see how it's gonna go.
but that could be another area of the use of your product actually, because it's also a marketplace.
True, true. Well, I need to look into that, man, because I really haven't paid attention to this GPT store and this one level agents that they allow to build. Yeah, they're pretty basic in terms of the capabilities. To build something that makes the difference, you have to build a chain of agents that is quite sophisticated and deep, and then it starts creating a real value.
Yeah, true. But still, I mean, I believe if there should be already some teams who build quite good products there. I mean, like if it's not like one
Yeah.
person, but that could be something more advanced. I mean, honestly, I did not look much into that as well. So,
Mhm.
but I'm asking many people whether they tried that or not, but nobody tried that yet
Nobody
too
tried.
much.
That's the point, right? So the people don't think about it as the place to go if they want to solve a problem. If I want to solve a problem, I go to, I don't know, futuretools.io or something like that to find AI tool that can do that. Uh,
Right.
Rather than going to GPT store.
Yeah, by the way, I believe that everybody recorded this web address, like futuretools.io. I don't know whether I pronounced it correctly or
I'm
not,
not
but
affiliated with them.
okay. But I mean, no, my point is that, like I think that from any event, any meeting, anything, you need to take out something really useful, and you already know about Eugene's product if you are in the e-commerce or in some kind of sales business, or you are selling something on the marketplaces. you know where to join the waiting list.
Thank you.
Yeah, I believe that the financing they got in the seed round, it will allow them to accelerate and release something pretty soon. By the way, when do you plan to release something for your beta users?
So look, we already have a waiting list for the closed beta, so people can be added there, and we're giving them access in batches to the current system, which is basically the strategist plus. Now we're working on the analytics piece, basically the part of the system, the agent that will look at your campaign data and analyze it and provide insights from that. So we expect that this part of the system is going to be publicly available sometime in September, maybe October. And in the meantime, we're building up the rest of the system that will actually run the experiments and buy the media and the rest of it.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think that we already talking more than 1 hour, and it just flew like 1 minute. So Eugene, once again, thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for this webinar, and big thanks to all participants for joining this charity event, for your donations. You can still share this information. You can still share the information about this webinar. You can still do the donations. I encourage you to do that, and thank you very much.